Welcome to the Exposer. So, I've been putting out videos basically showing that Spac Nation definitely have trap houses and they are connected to trap house. And as a matter of fact, the trap house is their new community unit. And there's hundreds of videos that I've put out where you've seen members preach inside houses and things like that. But I just felt like whatever proof I have regarding a trap house, I will continue to post it. So this is for example, someone like Steve Reed, who was obviously on live television with a Spac pastor, who is the brother of Toby Adeboyega, who denied on TV that Spac Nation do not have trap houses and they are not connected to any trap houses. Well, I did put out a video yesterday with Toby, an hour, 22 minutes of Toby basically talking about his trap houses. So here's just a few tweets and few videos just to show that the trap house is actually the most connected thing to Spac Nation.
Else, and that's what a trap house has taught me. Living with the leaders, living with Pastor Toby's, I've seen like the real work that Spac Nation do. It's not just a Sunday thing; it's a Monday to Sunday thing. The real work really starts from Monday. Sunday is just where we come together, we praise God and do what we do traditionally. But it's Monday where the real work really starts, where you start contacting souls and things like that. You start thinking about how you can put young people into schools, how you can give young people jobs. And it's just that I was amazed to see that none of these people actually knew each other before this thing. And they're so unified to bring so many, like all of us here today are here because of this one man and this one movement.
So you saw the tweet saying the demands of society has rendered the role of parenting ineffective. We will lose a generation unless some within that generation stand and begin to speak. Roy, 17-year-old and a leader in the Connect community, begins to speak about the effect of living in a trap house. So you heard that? The young man is a leader in the Connect community, which is one of the biggest, what can we say, fellowships or organizations inside Spac Nation. And he lives in a trap house and he speaks about his experience there. And you heard him say, it's not just going to service on a Sunday, it's a Monday to Sunday thing. That's what he said. Basically meaning that Spac occupy your whole life. That's what he's openly saying in the video. Like, you're basically trained and programmed. And you can see a young man speaking just like the other members of Spac Nation. And you see the resemblance, how they all speak the same way and how they're all in awe of Spac Nation Toby Adeboyega. They see him almost as a god because they feel like he's doing things out of his kindness. So they don't really understand the reasons behind it. But I guarantee you, when you step outside of Spac and then you actually watch yourself again, you can't believe that this was actually you talking about this man in such a light. And this is a 17-year-old talking the way that he's talking. He said it's because of one man, and that one man is Toby. You don't ever hear them praising God, praising Jesus, nothing to do with the Bible. All you hear them saying is that Spac is something that basically, it's a movement that runs on almost on a daily basis. So can you imagine the brainwashing that must be going on in the trap house? And this is just one of the young men that lives in there. And so imagine in one trap house, there may be more than 10 young people living there. And they are trained and taught to believe that Toby is the reason that they are where they are today. Even though these young men haven't achieved or done anything, they still believe that Toby has done so much for them. And a lot of them are told to leave their homes to join Spac Nation. So it's not like every single member that lives at Spac Nation was a troubled child. Some of them are told to come there so that they can have a better future, so they can have a better life, so they can be taught how to become successful. So that's why you see so many young people going to the trap house. And I personally know a lot of them that go to these trap houses because of that. Because Toby has promised them success. It's not because they're coming from broken homes or they need help. It's just because they go inside these trap houses, they see a lot of youths like them, they play games, get along with each other, and it almost brings them the comfort that they may not have at home, and that leads to them leaving their own houses to join in these trap houses. So here you saw another tweet from Spac Nation saying, "Hear this mum out and have compassion. This is the truth of how trap houses operate. Her son was stabbed 7 times and she had no help until she cried out to us. We have a full documentary coming out this week of a tour we did last week of all the houses, hashtag Spac Nation." So there you have now a family. I'm not going to play the video because of obviously legal reasons. It's got a young man in that video, and I don't know if these families are still part of Spac Nation. But in a video, you just basically hear a mother talking about her child being stabbed, and you've got Toby himself in that video praising himself, basically, and using that as a reason to almost praise his idea of having a trap house because it keeps the young people safe. That's basically the whole reason behind that. And what's quite funny about the video is that at the bottom of it, they mention how there was a full documentary coming out of the tour of all the trap houses. But funny enough, because a few weeks after Spac were exposed and had to distance themselves from the trap house, the video never came out. The video never came out. And if you guys knew, remember, Mariam Mola mentioned how she was going to do a series about, basically, she was going to be filmed in a trap house and then talk so that people can see what goes on inside there. And that no longer took place. Basically, Toby decided to write off anything that's connected to a trap house because now he knew that being associated with a trap house was almost illegal, because a lot of these young people live with convicted criminals, people that haven't even been checked. So you don't even know who your child is potentially living with. And it's quite dangerous. So the safeguarding that house is not good. So Toby himself has distanced himself from the trap house. You've seen his brother distance himself from the trap house. But here you can see this is a Spac Nation tweet themselves talking about how a trap house is saving people and how now families are crying out to Spac so their children can live inside these trap houses. And it's almost like a publicity stunt because PT takes that as an opportunity to praise himself. And that's one of the reasons why this man is not a genuine person. Everything that he does or his church has done, he feels the need to let the whole world see it. And for many years he was praised for it. And now he's trying to use the same tactics, but it's not working because they have done way more worse than good. So it's almost like they want to overshadow the bad things by showing some of the good things that they have done, but he's glorifying himself. He's not praising God. He's not praising he's praising himself. He's praising himself, and this is the reason why his members talk of him like he is God. Because it's always thanks to PT, they have become this, thanks to PT. But the reality is, even the trap house, the people who are raising the money to actually pay for it are the members. The same members that are raising money to give seed are the same members that are raising money to pay for the trap house. But they still thank Toby for it. It's almost like they've put in their own minds that Toby is the one paying for everything. But the reality is, even the house that Toby lives in, the money comes from the seed that his members give him. So this is a guy that's fully exploiting his people. But they're so blinded they can't see the truth. A lot have seen the truth, and a lot of them have walked away. And I mentioned in past videos, some members were with this guy for a very, very long time. And it took a long time for them to realize that actually what's happened to me is that now I'm in debt. And all the promises that this Toby guy promised me never happened. Not once. Not once. And we mentioned not one business that Spac Nation have run has ever been successful, because the whole idea behind a business was to borrow money, was to get a loan from it. So everything they did was never to genuinely have a successful business. It was always to try and get money from a bank, or to borrow money from investors and then never pay them back, and then write off the whole business. That's always been their mission. And today you can see Spac Nation do not have any business active. All the businesses that they talk about are not legitimate businesses. This is something that they created quickly online, and then they're taking money from people. So meaning they're avoiding tax. For example, the pastor Kevin, he's driving around a rented Rolls Royce, and he's charging people from within £200 to £500 to drive them around for the whole day, or to allow them to take videos of it. But this is money that's not declared. This is cash that's not declared. So it's not a legitimate business. There's no actual company. There's no actual website for it. It's basically Instagram. He promotes it himself, and then people do that. So it's not even a legitimate business. And you just saw that tweet. This is the most important one. It says, after a powerful service, it's time to go home, right? Wrong with a smiley face. And it says, our trap houses are always open to newcomers and people after service. This is a time to socialize, gain advice and insight to industries and have fun. We had over 40 people at the Hope House. So the Hope House, again, is the Connect Families trap house. And you heard it. After a powerful service, is it time to go home? They're saying, no, it's not. Basically, come to the trap house. So they can brainwash you. They're welcoming newcomers. Do you know why? Because after Sunday service, Spac, no, that's when they have most of the members attend. Or they have a lot of newcomers also attending, because the Spac soldiers basically spend the whole week finding souls on the streets and basically promising them fake things, and then these souls turn up to Spac on a Sunday service, and after Sunday service they will invite these people to the trap house, where again a lot of young people around other young people, so normally you get a good vibe and they would eat, play games and get along. And this is when one of the main Spac pastors will come up to a new member and then sell that person dreams. Tell them this is what goes on here. We're a good church. We look after people. And as you can see, these houses are designed to help the likes of you guys, so you guys can focus, so they can help them have their own businesses, and so that they won't be distracted. And this will tempt any young person to wanting to leave their house to join this trap house. And that's why I said Spac are very strategic. They use the right time to move in on new members. And that's where it happens, inside the trap house. Before, it was more of after service, take them to Nando's or take them to a restaurant. But that's been exposed now. So what happens now is it's just directly to the trap house. So they would have a 5-hour service and then go and chill inside the trap house for another 5 hours. And then the trap house now, it becomes open to these members, even the ones that haven't left their houses. And a lot of these young members now get into a routine where they'll go school, after school, go and chill inside the trap house. Some will go to fellowship, after fellowship, go to the trap house. And that's basically what goes on. So that's why you see so many young people inside the trap house. And they don't understand that Spac are only seeing a money opportunity. Everything's been exposed in terms of what goes on inside the trap house. You've had Pastor Dami mention that Spac were trying to get basically people who just come out of hospital, people who are coming from troubled homes, to basically gain benefits from the government to live in a trap house. Like, that's why they target a lot of troubled young kids. And there's also the ones, young kids who are about to go university. So you got 17, 18-year-olds who are just about to go university. So Spac have time to kind of groom them and make them understand why giving importance. So when these young men go to university, the first thing they do is they send a student loan to Spac Nation. So this is so important. I don't think people understand the importance of this trap house. This is why I'm so happy that Steve Reed went on TV and spoke about what goes on inside the trap house, because that made Reverend Apple lie on national TV. So now I'm going to keep exposing everything they've put out about trap houses. So if you haven't seen, I've put a video out yesterday of Toby Adeboyega. It's 1 hour 22 minutes where he's basically breaking down every single trap house at Spac Nation, and there's some disturbing confessions in that video too. So this is just a few tweets and one video basically just talking about what Spac Nation get up to inside the trap house. And you just saw the last tweet there. After service, is it time to go home? That's the question they put out, and they're them saying wrong. It's not time to go home. It's time to go to the trap house and bond with other people so they can give you ideas. So please continue to share, support, and continue to talk about Spac. I understand it is frustrating for a lot of people because it looks like nothing is being done. But again, I mentioned this is a battle that will go on and on and on. I will not give up on talking about Spac Nation.